And now it's time for your injury update with Not a Doctor, Eric Watts.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Watts, who is totally not, or maybe possibly a doctor. I'm here to give you your injury update for the week for week 2. So let's go down by these teams here. So we're going to start with the Green Bay Packer injury news because they got quite a few relevant fantasy injuries across the board. We got Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Aaron Jones, who are all questionable this week. Romeo is limited, so I think he's going to be fine. Christian Watson was non-participant, so I would expect him not to be out again. And then Aaron Jones, watching that games last week, he might have a chance, but it's a hamstring. He was non-participant. He's probably going to be out. I think the only one we really care about here is Aaron Jones, where you probably drafted him with a decent draft pick. I hope you handcuffed him with AJ Dillon. He could be a good start this week against this Atlanta Falcons defense. I kind of like him in a spot start, but if you have better options, maybe that's, I'm thinking more like an RB3 or a flex. That could be pretty good this week with no Aaron Jones. Next up, we've got DeAndre Carter and Jacoby Myers. I don't think we really care about either of them too much. You probably weren't starting them to begin with, and we don't care about the replacements. Next up here, we have got the Baltimore Ravens with Mark Andrews remained a limited participant, and J.K. Dobbins is on the injury reserve. Dobbins, I think we can basically consider is done this year. I'm not thinking he's going to come back. He is super. Even if he does come back, you're not going to feel good starting him ever. Between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, I kind of like Justice Hill, and he's pretty widely available. He might not be now since the waiver wires passed, but I wouldn't start him. I don't feel comfortable starting him. I want to see how that backfield plays out. I do not like just throwing him in randomly unless you are desperate and J.K. Dobbins was like your RB1 and you have to throw him in. Fine. But I would certainly not feel great about that. Mark Andrews, I have a feeling Mark Andrews is going to play. If Mark Andrews doesn't play, I don't feel so great about Isaiah Likely anymore as a spot start. He was barely targeted last week. I think Zay Flowers kind of took a lot of the targets that he had last year in his fill-ins, and Zay Flowers is going to be much more impactful than Isaiah Likely. I don't think you care about the Ravens tight end unless it's Mark Andrews. Bengals, they've got Chris Evans, but we don't really care about that too much. For Seahawks, we're looking at Kenny McIntosh possibly being out. He's on the injured reserve right now, so not possibly. Looks like he is going to be out. I don't think we really care about that. You're starting Kenneth Walker. So next up, we have Chargers and Titans. So Austin Eckler looks like he is doubtful for this weekend, which is, as a Austin Eckler owner and believer, that is super painful. He was awesome that first week for me. But this is Joshua Kelly's time to shine. Luckily, in all leagues that have Austin Eckler, I have Joshua Kelly, and I am thrilled about it because even though Joshua Kelly backed him up, he was like RB12 last week, while Eckler was RB2. Fantastic. If you have Joshua Kelly, he is a must start this week. I am putting him in all of my lineups. He might be actually on the waiver wire for a couple people. He might have got picked up earlier this week, but this Austin Eckler news is coming out a little bit late. He might be able to sneak. You might be able to sneak him onto your team. If I have him on my team, I'm finding a way to start Joshua Kelly. I think he's going to have a very good week. For the Titans, it looks like DeAndre Hopkins was not spotted at practice this week and is questionable. If you have DeAndre Hopkins, you are probably starting him. If you have him on your team, I don't really think there's anybody I care about on this Titans offense other than Derrick Henry that I really want to start. So if you have Treylon Burks, you're probably starting him anyway. Maybe bumps him a little bit. I don't really care about anybody else. If DeAndre Hopkins is out and he's on your team, he's someone starts on your team, we're probably looking on your bench in the waiver wire on a non-Titans player to fill that in. Bears and Bucks, no injuries, which is awesome. Go Bears, bear down. We are looking at Kansas City Chiefs and Jaguars. Travis Kelce remained a limited participant during the practice, with the Chiefs being 0-1 and how porous the offense kind of clicked with some of the drops of the receivers and stuff. I have a good feeling that Travis Kelce is going to play this game, and I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game between the Chiefs and Jaguars. If Kelce is good, you are starting him, obviously. If not, you could debate putting in Gray. I don't feel fantastic about it, but there's going to be a lot of points to go around, and I think Gray was one of the people who actually caught balls that got thrown to him, so maybe. I don't think I'd feel great about it, though. But if you're in a tough situation and your tight end room looks garbage, then Gray might be the way to go with that. Colts and Texans. So we're looking at Ogletree, the tight end, and Evan Hull, the running back. We don't really care about either of those. Hull was someone who maybe while JT was out, holding out, injured, whatever he is, or before he's traded, you're like, oh, maybe Hull. But I don't think we really care too much that he's out. And I don't see AR, Anthony Richardson, popping up on this. So if you have to rely on him, first of all, I'm sorry. I think he's kind of booty cheeks. But if you have to rely on him, then you're probably starting him. Houston Texans. So we're looking John Mechie out and Noah maybe out. Okay, limited, sorry. And then Noah Brown, who we don't care about. So Mechie, I'm really big on Mechie this year. I think if Mechie is healthy, I'm starting Mechie. Hamstring worries me. I think I'm waiting another week or two. I want to see him on the field. I want to see him perform. And then I'll think about starting John Mechie. At the area you were taking John Mechie, you're probably having him as a bench player with high upside, so you have no risk in not starting him. I wouldn't start him this week no matter what. And then I would wait for that big week. I wouldn't feel bad if he has a big week, you didn't start him because that was the right move. And then from there on out, you look to flip him or you start him because I'm pretty high on John Mechie. I like Nico Collins a lot too, but he's not on his injury list. And this is an injury report. So next up, we have 49ers and Rams. 49ers are good. Rams, Puka is, I love that name, Puka is questionable, but it doesn't really say why. And then Stenson Bennett, we don't care about. Cooper Kupp still injured. Nuka, I think a lot of people added him this week, but I still not in an area where I'm comfortable starting again, especially against this 49ers defense. Stafford's going to have no time to throw. I don't like any Rams wide receiver unless it was Cooper Kupp, who looks like he's probably not going to play. So I don't think I'm starting any Rams wide receivers. I'm not starting any Rams in general this week. I hate the Rams this week against the 49ers. Giants and Cardinals. We have Wan'Dale Robinson showing up, who was limited. We have Darren Waller, who has went limited. I don't feel good about Waller because there's a really weird, sketchy kind of injury. I would probably lean towards finding a replacement if you can. I know Bellinger was decent last year as a backup Giants tight end. In a mode of desperation, if you have to throw him in there, fine. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. I would probably try for other options, but that is a guy who's there if Waller does not play. Then we have James Conner, who was limited capacity on Thursday. I kind of hate the Arizona Cardinals offense and awful. Just in general, it's not great. They're going to struggle to score all year long. So I probably would avoid playing James Conner if I could this week. But if you're in a place you have to, just keep an eye on that because there's not a lot of clarity at the moment. So we have Jets and Dallas. I think the Jets had an injury this week. I can't really remember, honestly. If it was, it probably wasn't a big deal. But Breece Hall was limited. I don't care. Breece Hall looks fine. I'm starting Breece Hall. Breece Hall looks great. Oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Forgot about him. Thought he went back to ayahuasca or whatever. He's out for the year. And that means right now, as far as we know, it's Zach Wilson's show. I don't love it. I think Zach Wilson might be the worst starting quarterback out of the 32 teams in football. If Aaron Rodgers was your dude, that might be the guy you have to roll with, and I would feel terrible about it. And I would wait for a week where Zach Wilson looks okay, and I would try to flip him because I do not believe in him, and I also think they're going to bring in somebody else to replace him at some point. So if you're banking on Rodgers this year, you're probably in a really bad spot. If you're in one QB league, you can probably find somebody. If you're in two QB league, whoopsies. That's not great. And then for Cowboys, Brandon Cooks. I don't really care about Brandon Cooks too much right now. I got to see him get more involved in the offense first. Commanders and Broncos. Curtis Samuel, Dexter Milne, or Dax Milne, I'm sorry. Don't really care too much about either of them. You weren't starting them anyway. And then Dulcich with the Broncos was a non-participant, so he probably won't play. I know some people are really high on him. I just don't really care about the Broncos offense, if I'm being honest. I think it's bad. So I think you can find better options than Dulcich or the backup at this point. Dulcich, good Dynasty League stash, though, for later on if they can ever figure out how to have an offense or a real quarterback. Dolphins have no injuries, and Patriots, Devonta Parker and Booty. Booty looked pretty good. I actually kind of liked Booty last week. I don't think Patriots are going to have a good offense this year, but I didn't hate some of Booty's catches and plays, though I think he forgets he's in the NFL, not in college, and is trying to 1 foot by the sidelines. Figure that out. Maybe they beat the Eagles. I don't know. Crazy. But I don't think you were starting probably these two guys anyway. These are probably bench players for you. So that's not a huge deal. So Saints and Panthers. So we have Jawan Johnson and Kendra Miller. Jawan Johnson's a sneaky good tight end. He doesn't blow anybody away. You're not like, oh my gosh, I have Juwan Johnson on my team. Yet he just puts up points. So he was limited, and that kind of stinks. There's some people who are riding with Juwan Johnson as their starting tight end, who isn't the worst option. I guess that means Taysom Hill. I don't know. Taysom Hill has a couple weeks a year where he just blows up, and then the rest of it, he's just a nothing burger. Sorry. I would look for other options. And then Kendre Miller was limited, and I didn't see anything great for the Saints running game last week. He's probably a flex for you anyway. You can probably find better options or whoever the backup is until Kamara comes back. And I'm actually pretty high on Kamara, to be honest. Panthers, DJ Chark, nobody cares other than I think Mike was really into DJ Chark for some reason. Maybe it's Corey. I forget. It was one of them. Ignore them. We don't care about DJ Chark. Cleveland Browns and Steelers. Browns got nobody. Steelers, McFarland, unless you're in a league with kick returns, you don't care. Freiermuth and Deontay Johnson, these are big injuries. These are players that most people are probably starting on their teams. Deontay Johnson is doubtful, and I highly doubt he plays. And Freiermuth was limited in Thursday's practice. I would guess Freiermuth probably plays. Now, the backup for Freiermuth is rookie Darnell Washington, who is like 6'7" and a monster. I kind of like him as a sneaky play this week. I'm not predicting he's going to be like amazing and win your week, but against an amazing pass rush that the Browns have, like you're going to be looking to dump the ball off. And with how bad Pickett was, looking for quick throws, having a 6'7" target to just dump a ball off to is kind of awesome. If Freiermuth does not play and you do not have an awesome tight end option, I kind of like the sneaky Darnell Washington play, and I think he's worth an ad if you have a bench spot available. Don't dump somebody good. Don't dump a handcuff. But like if you got that extra spot, you're in a deep league, you got one to burn, and he's out there. Darnell Washington. I don't hate it. I really like him. For wide receivers, I don't really care. Pickens is the one you want without Deontay Johnson, and that's fine. And that is our injury update for the week. I think this is going to be a really fun week. And I'm going to leave you because I like to give a little hot, spicy take towards the end. This one's actually going to be super spicy. Against maybe my better judgment, I'm going to go with this because it's what I saw week 1, and it might be lying to me, but I really liked what I saw. I think at the end of this season that Tyler Algier is going to have more fantasy points than Bijan Robinson, which is really weird to say because I love Bijan Robinson, but Algier looked awesome. And I kind of hate Arthur Smith. And I feel like he's going to do everything I don't want him to do, which is I want him to give the ball to Bijan. And because of that, he's probably going to give the ball to Algier. And on that stat alone, plus how good Algier looked, I have a sneaky feeling that Algier might be the highest scoring running back on the Falcons this year for fantasy purposes. And that will be my bold take right here. Hot and spicy. Oh, love some spicy. Hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy your football weekend. And this was my week 2 injury update with Not a Doctor, Dr. Watts.